is The Hub on Hollywood. I'm James.
I'm Jamie,
And
and
we
we
love
love
movies.
movies. Oh, that was good. It sounded like that was almost like exactly the
In
same
sync.
time.
We finally got it after
Yeah.
like 100 episodes.
Woohoo! Oh my gosh. It only took that long. It only
I know.
But just like all of our last 100 or so episodes, James, great stuff for us to talk about, exciting stuff. Starting with James Bond, right?
Yeah, Bond, James Bond. He's finally back after what is it, a 2-year delay now after and because of the pandemic. James Bond, No Time to Die, finally reaching theaters. We're gonna get a special sneak peek look at it. We're gonna talk about that. Also, the anticipation that's building around the return of Bond and the final time that Daniel Craig will be reprising his role as 007. We're also talking about some Spider-Man, some more crossover multiverse news, potential rumored news. A new trailer for Stranger Things season 4 has just dropped. I'm not sure how big of a fan of you are with Stranger Things, but I like the series a lot, and that too was postponed. But we're coming back with a new season that's coming out to Netflix soon. We will take a look at that, as well as taking a look at what we're watching. But again, thank you for watching us here on the Hub on Hollywood. If you are watching us on YouTube, please smash that subscribe, smash that like button, give us a follow, comment down below, join the conversation. You can also listen to us on any of the major podcasting streaming services like iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And you can also follow us on the social medias, right?
That's right. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're occasionally on the TikToks. So
Very
find us
occasionally.
there
It's very hard
very
to.
occasionally.
TikTok is its own beast that is takes a lot of time and effort, but we will try to get onto the TikTok train a little more often. But we do have to also say hi to Desi. Desi is joining us on this week's episode.
Yeah, so my daughter Desiree is sitting in with us today. She's here watching Sesame Street and just being overall cool. We'll see if she has an opinion on
She's
anything
our
later in the broadcast.
she's our Sesame Street correspondent.
That's right. That is right. And she's learning some new words. We'll get her up and reviewing movies in no time. So
Yeah, she needs to learn the phrase shaken, not stirred, right? Because because I'm sure she is or it will soon be a James Bond fan, as we all are. But yeah, let's go right into the news. James Bond fever is hitting the UK. This is according to the Hollywood Reporter. No Time to Die world premiere is next week, or actually early October, but the premiere is next week. And ticket pre-sales are said to be the biggest since Avengers Endgame.
okay,
And
this surprised me. That surprised me, James, because Marvel is Marvel. Endgame was Endgame. It was the end of like an entire saga, but
mhm.
James Bond, I guess, in England, like he's the rock star, but tell
Yeah,
us
he's
more.
their own people. Yeah, so the
Yeah.
Hollywood Reporter says since advance No Time to Die tickets went on sale on September 13th, cinema owners in the UK have reported a nearly unprecedented level of demand and far and away the highest interest of any film seen since before the pandemic. In terms of how No Time to Die matches with pre-pandemic releases, an executive says the nearest equivalent is Avengers Endgame, adding that Endgame was the last one that probably had the same palpable sense of this absolutely cannot be missed in theaters, and there was a sense of urgency about seeing it as soon as possible. And as I mentioned, this Bond film, the last Bond for Daniel Craig, not only is anticipation built up because this is the last time he's reprising his role, and he's one of, if not the best James Bond that I've experienced or that I've seen. But again, this movie has been delayed because of the pandemic, and with the pre-ticket sales that we're seeing already, it looks like No Time to Die is going to meet and reach that anticipation. And so I'm really looking forward to it. We are actually going to we've both been invited to go see a screener next week before the masses gets to see it, and so we will be reviewing it for next week's episode. So you're gonna not want to miss that. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I like James Bond. I love Daniel Craig and what he brought to this role, and I think he's going to be sorely missed.
I think he will definitely be missed. And there was a while there, even before this movie was getting made, where we weren't sure that there was going to be another Daniel Craig movie, another Daniel Craig 007 movie, because he was saying that he was over it and that he wasn't sure that he wanted to reprise that role, but he did. And so we're getting this movie, and so the anticipation is not just the last 2 years. It was, oh my God, he is actually going to do it again. So I mean, this is built up over a while, so I can see why there is that level of excitement for it.
Yeah.
I don't know
Plus,
that it beats Endgame though, but
I don't think it beats X Endgame, and the expectations as of right now, the projections show that it won't beat Endgame because again, Endgame was a monolith of its own, and so even though James Bond has a huge following fan base, including in the UK and in the US, they don't expect it to beat Endgame. However, the amount of ticket sales compared to any other film since the start of the pandemic, there hasn't been this much hype since Endgame, and so it's being compared to that. But it's interesting because it's funny. I remember when Daniel Craig was first announced to be the new James Bond for Casino Royale, which is a great movie. A lot of people, there's a lot of backlash, kind of similar to what we saw with Heath Ledger when he was announced that he was going to be the Joker in The Dark Knight. Same kind of reaction Daniel Craig received because, they were like, well, he is not as tall as the other Bonds. He doesn't have black hair. He has blonde hair and blue eyes. So he didn't meet the cliche or the standard look of what people are used to. But he quickly dispelled all second guessing with the release of the first film, Casino Royale, with a great performance. And
absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. So my favorite one. So I'm really excited. Let us know if you're really excited. It seems like you are a James Bond fan, but not as as excited as I am.
No,
Or
no,
no.
I might not be at that level of excitement, but I do love Daniel Craig, and beyond 007, I'm excited to see his range in a lot of films. So he was in Logan Lucky. Like
Right.
he's a master of accents. So
Yeah.
it's just really cool to see. So Logan Lucky, he was like this
Speaking of accents, Knives
crazy.
Out.
Yes, and I'm gonna get to that. I was gonna
Uh,
mention that one next. In Knives Out, he was doing the Foghorn Leghorn Southern accent, and when I was a body double on that film, I got to listen to the difference between that accent and then him, taking a break in between takes and talking about pheasant hunting and going off. I'm like, wow, this is just so cool. So much love to Daniel Craig. Like James said, we're going to be watching that film next week. We're going to be reviewing it next week. We're getting the early screener on that. So super exciting. Stay tuned for more James Bond 007 No Time to Die news and review on
yeah.
that one.
Unfortunately, James Bond, Daniel Craig would not be in Boston for the premiere over here. He's going to be, of course, in the UK because those Brits, they love their Bond. And yeah, well, again, really very excited. Let us know what you're expecting and what you're hoping for to see in this final version. But speaking about, I guess, things culminating, the Spideyverse, the multiverse, it just keeps getting ramped up and up and up. And there's this new rumor that's going around from the director, I believe, of Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, that he says, so he claims, that there will be a crossover with our current day MCU Spider-Man and his version of Venom. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what we're hearing, and they're teasing that as more of a Spider-Man, like a crossover Sinister Six spin-off.
Hmm.
And I think that we can already see the seeds of that in the upcoming Spider-Man movie. So when you look at who are the Sinister Six, many of them are apparently going to be making an appearance. We've already got
We have the Green Goblin,
and Electro, right? The Green Goblin and the lizard
Vulture.
guy, Vulture. They're all already being introduced, and now that we've got the multiverse being cracked wide open by Doctor Strange, or is he really Doctor Strange? We can really bring in all of these characters from every iteration of Spider-Man that has existed and bring it into the main storyline. So that's really exciting. To
Now let
see.
me adding to the Sinister Six. Now there have been rumors because Spider-Man's Peter Parker's friend in the movies is Ned, and Ned in the comics turns up to be Hobgoblin, or turns into the Hobgoblin, and so there have been pictures shared since obviously the first Spider-Man movie. The actor who plays Ned, he's a bit heavier, but Jacob Batalon, he's a bit heavier dude. However, throughout the years and most recently, he's released photos of himself really getting in much better shape. And so not only is that good, health wise, but if he is going in this direction, it becomes more and more of a possibility that he may become the Hobgoblin. And so I'm interested to see if that does come into fruition. That's been rumored and hinted at again by many people online. And so no official word in the MCU, but if he's getting in better shape and can fit into some tight spandex, then I can totally believe that he'll turn into the Hobgoblin, maybe joining the Sinister Six as well.
Yeah, I don't know that I want to see that though. Ned is so wonderful. Ned is that Tom Holland Spider-Man's best friend, and they're so good together, and I don't know that I'd want to see them as adversaries, but it does make
like,
sense.
what else can go wrong in Peter's life, right? Losing his best friend.
Right. Well, that happens in every Spider-Man, doesn't it?
Right. Yeah, it does. It happened with James Franco.
Exactly. Yeah, but so yeah, Hobgoblin Venom was also a part of the Sinister Six at one point. Green Goblin was a leader of the Sinister Six later on, but I mean that's an interesting theory about Ned. But we'll see. I think he's gonna suffer enough in this next film coming up. But you know what? Like you've mentioned before, like if there was not suffering, there wouldn't be a story.
Yeah. Now,
Spider-
my one question, Tom Hardy, of course, he plays Venom and Brock in the Venom movies, of course. Now, he's kind of like the anti-hero where Brock himself is a good guy. Like he's not a bad guy, but Venom, it's a symbiote and, it needs to eat. It likes violence and it's very quick to kill. And so it's kind of that balance of a good guy and a bad guy, kind of like an anti-hero. But if he were to be put up against like that version of Venom, be put up against this version of Spider-Man, do you really have two, again, one good for sure Spider-Man with one quasi good character versus each other? So either Tom Hardy, Brock's version, will have to go more to the deep end of evil and bad, or is it going to be one of those things where like, well, Brock's not a bad guy and Venom isn't entirely evil per se, like Carnage. And so is there going to be like a team up? And we've seen that before with other movies like Batman versus Superman, where they have to fight another creature, and obviously they're fighting each other at first, but then a bigger threat comes up and then they team up, like in so many movies. And so are we going to see that? A lot of potential directions.
I'd rather see the team up. I'd rather see the team up of sorry. I would rather see, it's not the COVID, I promise.
All right.
I'd rather see the team up of Venom and Spider-Man. I think that would be so great. I mean, think about the personalities of Tom Hardy and Tom Holland together.
Now, one thing I could see, though, is because in the comics, Venom, he originally attaches himself to Spider-Man, and then that's how he kind of retains his powers. And so I could see the conflict being created where, Venom and Tom Hardy get connected, and then Venom, it's kind of like a love story where where Venom is attracted to this new person, and that being Spider-Man, and then wants to leave, but then Brock doesn't want to say goodbye, and then you have that kind of like that love triangle sort of say. And so that's a possibility. That is a potential plot device.
I know a lot of people that would love that so much.
Yeah. Well, let us know what you think about Spider-Man and the Venom verse crossing over. Is it going to happen, or is this kind of more director talk to hype up their own movie, Venom, Let There Be Carnage, that's coming out soon? So comment down below and let us know what you think on your spider theories. But let's go right into, if you like, into this new trailer for Stranger Things 4 that just came out, and it's like the number 2 thing trending on YouTube right now with over 2 million views and counting. But again, like I said, I'm a fan of the series, seasons 1, 2, and 3. And because of the pandemic, there's been this delay. So I think I need to do a little homework and go through, I don't know, maybe some YouTube reviews or some kind of wrap ups to kind of get caught up to speed once again. But if you're ready, we can hit play and get this rolling.
All right, let's get going.
Okay, 3, 2, and 1. So Stranger Things takes place in the 80s, but this looks very 1950s ish.
Oh wow. Yep, this is different. A beautiful old house.
Nothing can go wrong in this creepy looking house.
Of course not.
No.
Oh, there's a mangled animal in
Oh.
front of this picturesque house. And the lights are going nuts.
Ooh, that's not good. So we have now we're in the 80s, looks like, and the Stranger Things kids are exploring, investigating.
Could you maybe clarify what sort
Very
of
kind of
clues
yeah.
we're supposed to be
They
looking
are
for?
older.
The world is full of obvious things which nobody by any chance
Getting some
ever
kind of
observes.
Ghostbusters vibe.
Sherlock Holmes.
All right, James. So look, I'm gonna be honest. I'm kind of tired of the upside down monster.
Mhm.
And I'm hoping that this is maybe something a little bit different, maybe still connected to the upside down, but it looks like there's some sort of sinister thing that has been either in and around Hawkins for a lot longer than we previously believed, because it looks like this is dating back to the 1950s.
Yeah, and this may be the beginning of what is the upside down, maybe the creation or yeah, the
Maybe.
early first time we've seen this happening. But one thing I'm
Mhm.
excited for, not only are the child actors, I think they're some of them are now technically adults now, but
Yeah,
in addition
the
to
kids, yeah.
yeah, but they do, most of them still look pretty young. But in that trailer, we didn't see 11, but I'm sure of course, she's going to
Mhm.
pop up more. But this season, from what I understand, is going to be following more of her backstory. And again, kind of explaining what the Upside Down really is. But one thing
Yeah.
I'm really excited for, but the season is Robert England is going to be on. He's cast to be in this season. He's
Yeah.
actually in the trailer where it shows like the father. That is supposed to be a
Yeah.
younger Robert England. For those who don't know, Freddy Krueger, who played Freddy Krueger on A Nightmare on Elm Street and the rest of the series.
Ooh.
And so that's a younger version of Robert England, but of course, it looks like they're going to pick up in the 80s where the
Mhm.
character that he plays, his name is Creel. And this is going to be known as the Creel House, but he plays this man named Victor Creel, and he is described as an inmate at Penhurst Mental Hospital, where he's been incarcerated for a grisly murder that he committed in the 1950s. So it seems like something weird was going on with the house, with the location, maybe involving the upside down world, and his family was killed, and he may have gone insane by what happened and was blamed for the murder. And so it's gonna be interesting to see how he is introduced, or what his character, his role in this new season is going to be. But like I
Mhm.
said, I'm a big fan of the Stranger Things seasons so far, and of the show and of the actors. The third season wasn't maybe my favorite, but still a very strong performance and really good. I don't know, really good story. So I'm very curious what they're
Yeah.
going to do, and I'm kind of hoping. Now, was hoping that this may have been the last season, because again, not only are the kids
Yeah.
getting older, getting kind of harder to believe that they were like a freshman in high school, or I think like eighth grade or something like that. But from what I hear from the Duffy brothers, they are going to Duffer brothers rather. They're going to be there's going to be a season 5, so at least 2 more seasons
Okay.
of Stranger Things. But again, I'm a fan.
Mhm.
The trailer looks really good. I'm always a Robert England fan, so anything that he's in,
Well,
it's just bound to be at least 20% creepier with him
yeah.
involved.
Well, I just hope that they don't run out of good storylines. I think that's always where you run the risk of what you run the risk of doing when you kind of push a show farther and farther along than maybe the natural stories would suggest.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see where it goes from here. But like I said, I'm already tired of that upside down monster. I don't want enough of that.
No more.
So what do we know about Hopper? I think Hopper is not dead, right?
Hopper's not dead. He's
Okay.
apparently in a Russian prison of some sorts after
Okay.
he was willing to sacrifice his life for 11. Again, minor spoilers for the last season. He
Yeah.
ends up not being dead, but somewhere locked up in Russia. And
Okay.
we should be finding out more about the imprisoned American, which in theory should be Hopper, and more about
Mhm.
this Russian spy connection that was like the main issue that they were tackling in season 3. And so it
Right.
has been a minute, a hot minute since the last season, of course, because of the pandemic. And so I'm not sure if the hype or the anticipation is there, but I'm sure,
Uh-huh.
you know, closer and closer that we get to the release date on Netflix, that people are going to be tuning in. But let us know what you think. Are you still into Stranger Things? I know that I was really on board when the first season came on and the second season followed. Again, the third season really good, but not as great as I would say as the first seasons 1 and 2.
Uh-huh.
But let us know what you think. Are you ready for more 11? Are you ready for more Hopper? Are you ready for more Winona Ryder looking mysteriously off into the world and off screen? Let us know.
I think that we're really going to enjoy that. But speaking of creepy things, there are creepy things making their way into New England, James. It's part of our casting calls, and I think that we should dive into that a little bit right now. There is a big horror movie shooting here. I don't think I sent this one to you, but it's called Salem's Lot. It's another one of those classic Stephen King
Ooh.
stories that was made, I think, back in the 80s or 90s. It's been redone a couple of times, and it's all about vampires, and they are remaking it here in the New England region right now, and they're casting for that. And it's called Salem's Lot. That is through Boston Casting. They are occasionally looking for vampires and things like that. So that's a really fun one. Gosh, that's one of the ones I really want to try to get into, James, because it's so fun to be a monster. I mean, it's good to be like just a normal
Oh
background person
yeah.
every now and then, but man, getting to do the makeup and all of that. I heard some really fun stories from people who were on Ghostbusters who were made into ghosts and got to wear like lights from head to toe and various things. So that is really cool. There are so many movies and TV shows and things filming here in the New England region. That's just one of them. Let's see what else we've got on our plate here.
We have Slay Casting. They're looking for this is shooting for I guess they're casting kids ages 5 to 9 years old. This is a project for a toy company, and this pays $1,500 if cast. Now again, they are looking for kids ages 5 to 9 for an upcoming commercial. Looking for kids of all ethnic abilities and backgrounds. No acting experience is required, but I'm sure you know, being cute puts you on the top of the list. But if you're interested, email a photo, age, contact information, agents, if you have one, to slatecastingkids@gmail.com, slatecastingkids@gmail.com.
All right. Slate is also looking for non-union pregnant women for a TV commercial. This pays really well. So if you've got a little bundle of joy on the way, just like this one, then, but you know, still in the belly, you're gonna want to put in for this opportunity. So they want your name, your contact information, where you're located, and a current head to toe photo. And you must be local, local to New England. You're going to want to send that to slateselftape@gmail.com.
Now, the next casting is kind of tied into a movie, or kind of our next topic of what we're watching. But Boston Casting, they're looking for actors who look like Kevin Costner. Do you look like Kevin Costner? Are you in your early 30s? This is for a feature film that is shooting in Boston, and it pays over $1,000. So if you look like Kevin Costner, know somebody who looks like Kevin Costner. If you're Kevin Costner's son and look very similar to your father, you should apply for this position. So you submit a headshot, resume, or picture and bio to Boston Casting Headshot and Resume at gmail.com. Boston Casting Headshot and resume at gmail.com. And in the subject line, put your name / Kevin Costner.
Oh, CP Casting is also looking for actors who are tall, 5'11" or higher, or higher. Red-haired men between the ages of 16 and 22. This is for a Disney movie that is going to be filming this fall in Rhode Island. So they want your name, phone number, height, date of birth, where you live right now, recent photos, and acting resume, if you have it. Ooh, you're going to want to email this to pocuscasting@gmail.com. That's for that Hocus Pocus remake that's filming right now in Rhode Island.
All right, and Boston Casting still looking for more lookalikes. In this case, they're looking for a Merv Griffin lookalike, mid to late 50s. Again, shoots in Boston, over $1,000. If you look like, or if you know someone who looks like Merv Griffin, submit your name, contact information, headshot to Boston Casting, headshot, and resume at gmail.com.
Okay, and I think last one for me, Slate Casting is also looking for real acupuncturists. If that is your deal is just putting needles in people's faces, Slate Casting is looking for you. No acting experience necessary. This also pays very well. Non-union. They would like you to send your name, contact information, a brief description of your experience, a current photo to slateselftape@gmail.com.
Okay, and wrapping up my casting calls, Boston Casting, we're looking for male and female ballet dancers for a feature film. This pays over $1,000 a day. So if you are a ballet dancer, a man or a woman, send your picture, dance resume to Boston Casting, headshot, and resume at gmail.com. In the subject line, you're going to want to include ballet dancers / your name. But a lot of good casting calls. But yeah, I'm really excited. Again, Kevin Costner. If you look like Kevin Costner, reach out to Boston Casting. And that transitions perfectly into what I'm watching. As I mentioned, rewatching The Bodyguard. It's been years since I've seen it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, my girlfriend saw it as a child, and she was absolutely enamored by Whitney Houston. And just watching it again, a couple things that I noticed. One,
Okay.
not every singer is a great or good actor. However, Whitney Houston, she is acting very, very well. Now, of course, she's playing, somebody like that's really close to her own life. A super famous singer who is very popular and, well loved and beloved by everybody, a phenomenal talent. But as I was telling my girlfriend, is that and she also plays like kind of like that snobby kind of like actress or singer in the early on in the movie, but I think she does a very good acting or portrayal of it, because if somebody was actually snobby and like that in real life, I don't think they would have the awareness to be able to play that or act that way in a movie. And so one thing that stuck out was that, okay, it shows, I think that Whitney Houston at the time was very well aware, and maybe not as was a really good person behind the scenes. And two, again, her acting ability, very impressed by it, and the whole feel of The Bodyguard, 1992. I was digging it. So we haven't finished it yet, but we've restarted it, and The Bodyguard, really good movie to visit again.
So James, give us a little
Oh,
song
God.
here. Yeah. Oh, you can
Okay,
do it.
we're gonna lose some subscribers right now, but and
I
I will always love you. Oh yeah. That's my I'm not thank you. I will not be. Oh, and I hear they're maybe reprising or not rebooting it, but making The Bodyguard again. And so
they're making everything again.
They're remaking everything. But should The Bodyguard be remade? It's one of those movies that it's a classic, not only because like the movie, but for Whitney Houston herself. Like nobody else could fill that role. I know Lizzo has jokingly, or maybe not jokingly, said that she would like to be in The Bodyguard. But again, maybe, leave Whitney Houston's stuff, leave it alone. Let it be.
Desi says no, don't remake it.
Don't remake The Bodyguard. But I'm curious about this other type of remake of sorts, and that's Titans, right?
Oh, yes. Okay, so I stumbled across this. This is what I'm watching yesterday when I had a few free minutes to myself, and Titans on HBO Max. So, I'm going into this completely fresh, not knowing anything about it. And I'm like, oh, Titans, like,
like Teen Titans.
Exactly. Like Teen Titans. I'm like, oh, look, they made a live action Teen Titans.
Mhm.
And James, guess what?
What?
It's not a live action Teen Titans. Do not go into it expecting it to be Teen Titans.
Oh,
It was
okay.
so violent. It was
Yeah.
so viciously dark and violent. I'm like, oh God. Like that is not Teen Titans. However, similar to Teen Titans, the focus is on a group of young DCEU heroes led by Robin, as they come together, and it's a coming of age and finding their place in the world kind of show. Okay, so we've gone back to this Robin origin story where, you know, he's Dick Grayson, the only surviving member of the Flying Graysons. And at this point in the story, he has left Gotham, he has left Batman, and he's now living in Detroit as a police detective. And he's trying to figure out what to do with the rest of his life. As he says in the middle of this episode that really shocked me, he's like, F Batman,
Mhm.
you know? And I'm like, whoa, like what is going on here? So normally, like on theme with DCEU, very dark, very violent. But unlike the films that I'm not a huge fan of, this was very good. This was like, even though it was super violent and bloody, like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness, I could barely tolerate that part. The story building, the character development, the world building, and the character development were very, very good. And so it begins with this girl who later turns out to be the character Raven, who has this very dark entity inside of her, and her mother is killed, and she ends up in Detroit, and she cross paths with Robin. And I like the whole protecting kids thing is my jam. So there's enough relatability there. There's enough like good solid storytelling there that is pulling me in despite the darkness of it. You've also got a bunch of really interesting other characters that are a part of it. Oh, what is this person's name? Oh, Starfire.
Mm.
So we've got Anna Diop as Starfire. She is magnificent at this. Raven is played by Tegan Croft, and Dick Grayson, our Robin, is played by Brenton Thwaites, and he's very he looks exactly like how I would think that Robin would look. And I love all of their performances. And despite the darkness, I want to keep watching. There's 3 seasons of this. It's on HBO Max. So like I said, I'm going into this fresh and not knowing anything about these characters. But like I said, just do not expect it to be live action Teen Titans, because you will be really disappointed and a little bit scared.
Well, yeah, because the Teen Titans animation, which is really good, the cartoon version is really good. I know they made 2 different versions of Teen Titans. The original, that's a little more, I don't know, I wouldn't say realistic because it's a cartoon, but then they made a second round of Teen Titans that's more like kiddie, more like more younger kid friendly. But that's a great show. But I have heard the live action Titans is also really good to start watching. And you said season 3, so there is popularity, there is demand there for it to keep going. But I have really heard good things about it. So again, I'll add that to the list of many things to watch.
Yeah.
But HBO Max, they have a lot of really good content.
Exactly. So what did you guys think? What do you guys think of Titans? What do you guys think about Whitney Houston
and Kevin Costner's beauty? Let us know. Let us know down below.
Let us know exactly. And what else should we be watching? Be sure to join us next week, as we're going to be reviewing 007, No Time to Die. And we'll see what else we get to watch in the meantime in the next week as well. So until then, James, unless you have anything else to add.
No, we're good.
All right. I'm Jamie.
I'm James.
We'll see you next time.